What's up, you guys? Welcome to Critique the Critics, the show that asks the question, if critics can rip apart a movie like a serial killer, then why can't we rip them apart? So that's what we're going to do. My name is Tech.
And I'm Kojak.
Today we're talking about Friday the 13th because just the other day was Friday the 13th and 40th anniversary of the movie. 40
I didn't get a say
years.
in this matter.
What's that? You have no say?
It was forced upon me.
It was forced upon you. It's all appropriate.
This is your show. I'm just here.
Yep, you're just sitting there.
Yep.
Just hanging out.
Yep.
All right. So, as always, we're going to take a look at audience reactions to the 1980 film. I assume some of the reactions will be old, some of them will be recent, because a lot of times Rotten Tomatoes comments.
It's probably mostly new stuff. It was a little hard to find a review for this one.
I mean, it's from 1980, so that's understandable.
Right. There was a lot of dead links.
Yeah.
And B,
I mean, just not a lot of stuff. They did less reviews back then.
Yeah.
Now you can find like 200 reviews.
Yeah.
And
It's not that people were less pretentious. It's just that the pretension was condensed.
Yeah. There was less internet to let you be outwardly pretentious.
Right.
Now you couldn't just make a blog and be like, I'm a professional critic.
Right.
Like everybody does now.
You use your tips from Starbucks to advertise on like LinkedIn.
Exactly. So as we were saying, we're going to take a look at audience reviews. We're going to show you some interesting fake facts that aren't real at all.
Interesting.
Exactly. And first, we're going to read whatever review Kojak has found.
Yeah, that I found from Friday the 13th that 5 minutes before we started this podcast reminded me that he doesn't have his mask, so I found a different picture.
Yep, because a lot of people think mask.
I just immediately forgot.
He just has
I found one
he has
from
an ugly swollen boy face in this one. Sorry.
That means so many different
I apologize.
things today.
So this was from 1980.
Yeah,
all right.
EricDSnyder.com by Eric D. Snyder. Reviewed in 2002 as part of a retrospective on Friday the 13th.
It's really weird to hear D. Snyder because that's the lead singer of Twisted Sister.
Can we please just pretend for this whole thing?
Let's pretend that this was written by the lead singer of Twisted Sister. All right, here we go. Let's see what this guy had to say about this movie. Actually, in 1980, this is from 1980.
It says reviewed in 2002 as part of a retrospective by Friday the 13th.
Why does it say? Oh, is that just the release date then? Oh, release date.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this was 2002. Mm-hmm. My bad. I saw the release date as the thing. I thought that was when
he did it weird.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought it was when he actually did this. But still, interesting. Yeah. It'll be an interesting perspective in 2002 as opposed to now or then.
Yeah, right around the time the second Matrix, the third Matrix came out. So the bar was raised.
That's
the opposite. That was sarcasm. In case you couldn't tell by how I said raised.
I mean, it was in the way of like. They definitely went forward in graphics, so that's true.
Yeah, 2002, good year for movies.
Yeah. Wait, what? I don't even remember.
Probably wasn't.
All right, here we go. For years now, horror fans have held that Friday the 13th, despite its shortcomings, is a significant film because it was instrumental in launching the genre of teen slasher movies. This may be true, but it overlooks two crucial facts. Teen slasher movies don't make for a very good genre anyway, and Friday the 13th is a dreadful piece of trash.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about those two pieces of information.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently.
Yeah.
What do you mean it doesn't make for a good genre? That genre lasted from 1978 and still going. And still freaking going. And you wrote this in 2002. It was still happening.
Right.
Like, we're never going to get sick of the teen slasher genre. It works. A bunch of kids who are sex crazed, who are going to get killed, works. Especially because you can do stereotypes in them.
Right.
Of different types of teens, and that changes from generation to generation. Mm-hmm. And so every generation could be like, I'm like that girl, I'm like that dude, fuck that guy, he beat me up when I was 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
it's for people who like horror movies, and for people over 55 who like to go fucking liberals.
Yeah,
they just assume this is liberal trash.
Exactly. See? It has a huge audience.
Yeah. I said that way too serious.
Either
what did he mean?
Either way, the theater it was going to smell.
And all of it of PBR.
Of PBR.
And
Yeah, they both drink PBR.
yeah. You guys all have something in common.
Oh.
Yeah.
Coming together. All right, let's see where this goes. The original 1980 film has spawned 9 sequels plus the crossover Freddy vs. Jason. Let us take this opportunity to re-examine this landmark film and discuss any merits we happen to stumble across within it.
Wait, you read that wrong. Let us take an opportunity to re-examine this landmark film.
Yes, sorry. I understand that you can't hear quotation marks if you are listening to the podcast
Right.
instead of watching it. But yeah, but apparently it's not landmark if you put quotes around it.
Right.
The film begins with a prologue set in 1958. In this prologue, more or less stolen from Halloween, which, first off, let me say, he has very much said that he jumped on the bandwagon of Halloween success to make this movie. Mm-hmm. But it's a very different movie. The setting, the way, the pacing, the style,
Right.
it's different.
Yeah.
But it's not like he denied that. It's not like he was like,
But-
this is nothing like a slasher film that came 2 years before this. So you can't point the finger at him and be like, what the fuck? That's like pointing the finger at anybody who like ever made a martial arts movie.
Yeah. Or Burger King.
Or Burger King. Yeah, exactly. You know, there were burgers before this that were made quickly. I know.
That's why we did it.
But I made it my way so that I can make it your way.
Because not
Burger
everyone
King.
was loving it.
Oh, man.
Oh.
That was really good. Wow. Not sponsored by anyone.
Unfortunately.
Witness the killer's point of view throughout. Of course, the killer's point of view because of Halloween. For sure. Of course, not the first time that's been done either.
Yeah.
2 counselors at Camp Crystal Lake are getting frisky in the attic when darned if someone doesn't come along and kill them. Which is thoroughly explained,
Yeah.
by the way. Anybody who gets frisky gets killed. I mean, this is kind of how it goes. Mm-hmm. We skip to the present, well, 1980, where a smiling but clearly unintelligent girl named Annie is on her way to Camp Crystal Lake to work as a cook for the summer. Seems that after a couple decades, the place is being reopened. All the townsfolk call it Camp Blood, and Annie is warned by a doddering bicyclist that she is doomed if she goes there. The redneck who gives her a lift in his truck tells her several hundred times to quit. She blithely ignores all the counsel and is murdered by an unseen slasher on her way there. Don't worry, you won't miss her. I don't think the point of her being there was to miss her.
No. She was the first.
She also wasn't there enough to miss.
Right.
And if we did miss her, we're like stalker status at that point.
Yeah.
It's like the person who falls in love with you on first meeting and you're like, I don't even know you.
Not every character can be developed as much as the guy from Up's wife.
Exactly. I completely agree. But they didn't try to develop her character. Mm-mm. They literally went, "Hey, weird girl who's going to be a cook at a summer camp," and that's it. So like, I don't think that was the intention.
Right? Yeah.
She was annoying, and you kind of want her dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's totally annoying, and you want her dead.
It's been so long since I've seen this movie. It's very fresh in your mind.
Yeah, well,
I
watched it yesterday. Meanwhile, at the camp, we are introduced to a scrawny band of horny teens. Oh yeah, a scrawny band of horny teens. All of whom.
So we ran across a pep band,
Just a band.
or yeah.
Isn't that how most bands start?
Yeah.
Right. Like
Sure,
for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, dude, let's start a band. We'll get laid. That's like literally.
Explain why mine never got off the ground.
You weren't horny.
I was
enough.
purely doing it for selfish reasons.
You weren't scrawny or horny enough.
Yeah. Well. That's definitely not scrawny enough.
All of whom smoke weed so much that they now only wear Daisy Duke shorts, which, weed, of course, makes you cut your shorts shorter.
The gateway drug to Dukes of Hazzard,
I guess. Weed leads to jorts. I hate the word jorts.
I hate the word jorts.
It's a horrible word.
It sounds like something you need to get inoculated for.
Yeah. The more
I got my flu short or my flu jorts.
Yeah, flu jorts.
everyone else can fill in where I was trying to go with that.
You can tell how high someone is by how much underbutt you see.
Underbutt.
Underbutt. These are the counselors for the upcoming camp season, and the guy in charge of them, a curly-haired porn star of a fellow named Steve, mustache and all, who has probably the worst of shorts.
Also, just the phrase curly-haired porn star.
Yeah.
Just
because you're not sure where the curly hair is.
It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm going to find it in my omelet later.
Oh, no. The porn star or the curly hair?
It's always the curly hair.
Okay, good.
And now all the curly hairs I know are she'll be named Steve.
Hell yeah. Old Steve Curly Hair, has an ill-defined relationship with one of them, the lucky gal, and allegedly our main character, insofar as she's the only one who doesn't die, is Alice, who is nondescript and dull as to warrant never mentioning her again in this review, which is nonsense because, well,
Right.
First of all, she's supposed to be,
Yeah.
because she's like the virgin final girl, but also she like ultimately is the one who ends it all, and like and like fights it out.
Right.
You know, I mean, that was pretty big of her. She started out boring and nondescript and ends with a beheading. So like,
That's called character.
yeah, I feel like that's a
sense.
That's a bit of a transition,
yeah.
right? It shows how like a psychotic situation can change a person from being like, yeah, just kind of like doing some stuff to, I'm gonna chop your fucking head off.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
How we do.
It's how you change in crazy situations. You don't know what it's like to be attacked at a camp, or maybe you do. And if you do, there's a number you can call. All right, let's see what's next.
Ours. So you can be on this podcast.
Exactly. So we can interview and go, what? Steve goes into town to do goodness knows what. I'm assuming things that involve the fucking camp he's running.
Meth.
Because you need things.
Meth.
Yeah, for sure.
Making meth. I mean, look at that camp. They make meth there.
You're probably right. I mean, he might need supplies to make that meth.
Yeah. Sudafed.
Just Sudafed.
Just Sudafed.
He's like, I'm not very good at making meth.
But I crushed this up.
But I just crushed this up and hand it to people.
And Diet Blue.
It's like, I'm not high, but man, can I breathe through my nose?
Yeah. It's like the opposite of drugs.
That really cleared me out. This occurs with methodical precision and admirable efficiency, and usually to a soundtrack stolen outright from Psycho and Jaws, as though someone said, those movies were scary. We should probably use their music to make our movie scary, too. And by music, I mean there's barely any music in this fucking movie. Barely any. Every once in a while you hear like, kill. That's like almost until the end sequence. That's almost all the music, and it was done on purpose.
Yeah. And we totally just totally negated our idea of being able to have reverb for that. Just go, kill. I didn't spend $300 on that for nothing.
Wow. I hope that made everyone's podcast better. And to bring up Psycho and Jaws in the same sentence to make your point that people shouldn't copy stuff is stupid because Jaws came out so significantly far away from Psycho that it probably copied Psycho. Point made. A dumb person. Ah. One of the teens is Kevin Bacon. He gets killed immediately after having sex, and we see half of his butt being scratched by the girl with whom he's doing it. By the way,
so what did you take away
from this movie? One of the best things about this movie is everyone's an idiot in this movie. Everyone. They're all like, I'll go check that out. Not only that, but a lot of times the girls are like, I'll go check that out without putting shoes on, without putting clothes on, and just putting a raincoat around me.
Mm-hmm.
So that like after they have sex, she goes to the bathroom, no shoes, raincoat, in her underwear. And you're like, and it's pouring. And you're like, why are you doing this? but it's great. That's part of the fun. That's how they did things. Kevin Bacon was in Hollow Man. I don't know that Kevin Bacon's career has really progressed much. I mean, they made a freaking game out of him. So it had to have
He
progressed
thought
at least a little
he
bit.
thought his career was over when that game became popular.
Yeah.
I just recently
I'm
he
sure.
did a TED talk.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But how he ended up turning that around into like a charitable thing. But he thought his career was over, and he was going to be the laughing stock of Hollywood, and then kind of realized and owned it.
But he was in
Which is
Wild
cool.
Things.
Da 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 da.
He made my heart sing. All right. Nearly every cliche now associated with slasher films is present in Friday the 13th because cliches have to start somewhere.
Yes,
They don't become cliches without becoming. That's really dumb.
Oh, look, his ratings of the entire Friday the 13th series are listed next to this paragraph.
Wow, he didn't like anything.
Wait,
wow.
no, he gave Freddy versus Jason a B.
How much you want to bet he likes Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's the only reason. I do too, but I have a feeling that's the case here.
Right.
So people who fall while running, people saying, I'll be right back, and then not coming back, idiot cops, teens having sex, cars not starting, people supposedly being dead and then turning out to be alive and very angry, a killer who proves to be very incompetent indeed once he or she is actually challenged face to face. It's all here.
Dogs unleashed in the street, horses running wild.
Also, incompetent when face to face. Oh, yeah. It's a lot easier to kill someone if you, like, they don't know it's coming. Like, you sneak up
Yeah,
and you kill them.
right.
If they're in front of you, harder.
Most people, if someone's running at you with a large knife and you see it coming, are still going to die.
Right. But you're going to be significantly better at dodging if you see it.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. If you walk into a room and then someone's behind you, they have an axe and then they hit you, you didn't know they were there or the axe.
Yeah.
But if you see them walk in and they're like this, you go, I should get the fuck out of here because I can see what's about to happen.
Not everyone's Jet Li.
Right. But
Not even Jet Li.
Yeah, not
He
even
uses camoras to look like Jet Li.
for sure. Just saying, ask a blind man. You have a significant advantage when you can see shit. I'm just saying.
It's like the old joke. I watched two blind men fighting, and I yelled, my money's on the one with the knife, and they both ran away.
That's really good. I will grant you that in 1980, most of these things were not cliches yet. Then why'd you say it? You will have to grant me, however, that the acting, dialogue, and story in Friday the 13th are pitiful. Being cliched is the least of its problems. I mean, at the time, that's kind of how people acted at the time.
Fair.
It's not like top notch, like you just watched one of the most amazing movies ever, but it's a horror genre film that kind of helped the genre become what it is. So the acting isn't going to be like you're actually watching. Also, like you're talking about like directors, actors, people who didn't have a lot of stuff under their belt yet.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people who are new at this doing a genre that is kind of new with a story that they're like doing their best with the script on, because it's like, what are you gonna do with that script? No one really ever had written scripts like that. Just like, I don't know. There's a matter of perspective and all that just kind of annoys me, because like,
wasn't the guy who wrote the script one of the writers of like Days of Our Lives or something like that? Like it's
yeah, he went on to write one of the soap operas for like 7 years or something like that.
So he wrote like 7,000 episodes.
I don't know how many episodes it was, but wrote a lot of soap operas.
Yeah.
So, and also wrote one of the other movies that you hated in this series. I don't remember which one, but there you go. I guess you just don't like this writer. The DVD includes the original theatrical trailer, in which we are shown the deaths of several people, which removes any possible suspense over who will live and who will die. Actually, oddly enough, that's not the point. This is done more like a mystery. This one's like who's doing the killing.
Right.
Halloween is more who will live and who will die, not who's doing the killing, because you literally see a dude in a mask the whole time. This one, you see someone's foot. You don't know who it is. You think you at some point you think you know who it is, but you don't know who it is.
Right.
So it's actually done more like a mystery style thing. So you kind of missed that point, I guess. It's clear no one ever expected us to watch the movie for any reason other than the thrill of in seeing people we don't know or care about being butchered. Yeah, welcome to the freaking genre, bro. Of course. What's the best part of seeing a slasher? The slashing. If that wasn't the point, if like the best part of seeing a slasher film was the plot, they'd be called plotter films, but they're not.
That's called they're called thrillers.
They're dramas.
Drama.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. A thriller or
A thriller is horror with good plot, generally.
I don't agree because there's lots of horror that has good plot that I wouldn't call the whole thriller horror conversation.
I'm umbrella-ing the whole thing.
The whole thriller horror conversation is such a we've had it before. It's such a hard thing to pinpoint. I think it almost comes down to opinion at that point. But like,
well, there's not so much a line as there is kind of like a sawtooth, kind of jagged edge down the middle, where like certain things just end up like when you boil one down, it's like, no, that's I guess that would be that. No, that one would be that.
Yeah, I actually think a lot has to do with violence more than plot, but it's hard to say.
I don't know.
I think it's like it's just that we've talked about it before.
Like Identity,
and
is a thriller to me.
Sure,
but to some people it would be a horror. It's violent.
Yeah, it's a tough question. Yeah. Honestly, it'd be interesting to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to go into the comments on YouTube or
tweet us,
or if you want to tweet us, Boss Level 8 is our Twitter, and we can have an interesting discussion on what is horror and what is a thriller. Yeah, if we had a phone line. All right, let's see where this ends because we're coming to the end of this bad boy. For that matter, there's no suspense over who the killer is either. What are you talking about? That's the whole movie. The film's point of view is omniscient. That is, we are privy to the thoughts and actions of all characters, not just a select few. When a murder is being committed, we are often shown what's going on simultaneously back in the cabins. This gives everyone an alibi, and we know the killer is not one of the characters we already know, which means who cares who it actually turns out to be? Just some random psycho or someone with a grudge or a strange act of God, everyone winds up just as dead either way. No. Everyone having an alibi is good in this movie because the entire story is no one knows why the killings happened. These people are showing up not even knowing why it's called that and what had happened. Why they call it Camp Blood. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to suspect any of them. You're supposed to suspect the person who's been doing these killings for years. That's the point. That shouldn't be confusing. I'm actually like kind of speechless that like you couldn't understand that. That's really, really weird.
It's okay.
It's a little frustrating. Despite the trailer's promise of 13 murders, there are only 9 in Friday the 13th. Just another example of the film failing to live up to itself. Man, I guess you can get disappointed by that.
Rated R for
lots of bad stuff. Man, to be disappointed that like the trailer said that there was going to be 13 murders and you're like, there wasn't actually 13 and I counted. Did you like it? Did people die? Did you see half of Kevin Bacon's butt? Enjoy yourself. Are you kidding me? Come on. How ridiculous. And now comes the fun part of the show, where we read some interesting, completely and utterly fake facts about Friday the 13th. By the time Kevin Bacon was cast in Friday the 13th at the age of 22, Bacon had already been featured in every movie ever.
The final showdown of the film was not supposed to end with a beheading, but after Betsy Palmer, who played Mrs. Voorhees, ruined 37 takes, Adrian King had enough.
Rather than resorting to film tricks, in order to make it rain as much as possible for the film, the director, along with the visual effects department, sacrificed a grip to the Dark Lord. This blood ritual is also thought to be the reason for the film's success. Hail Satan. This has been Fake Facts Now comes the fun part. Not to say that the rest of this wasn't fun, but I like this part. That's all I'm saying. We're going to read some audience reviews from Rotten Tomatoes about Friday the 13th. Looks like a lot of them are going to be recent, like you said.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of these. You grabbed them, so.
I did.
So I don't know how much you read them or if you just kind of just started grabbing stuff haphazardly.
I just, I really just
Glanced.
commit.
Just glanced. Well, why don't you start it up?
Okay. My first time watching any of the Friday the 13th movies, and it had terrible acting, terrible writing, terrible dialogue, unnecessary scenes that are just a waste of time in this movie. It's just straight up awful to the point where I was constantly laughing at its quality.
Sounds like you had a good time.
Fair.
If you can watch a movie and laugh through the whole thing, that sounds like a really good time. I was really disappointed by the joy that this movie gave me. How upsetting.
Oh, no.
I mean,
it's also 2018, so 30 years old?
I mean, this is literally one of the movies that gave us the world campy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's 40 years old. Yeah, it's 40th anniversary.
Oh, yeah, 38 years old. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, 40. Right.
Don't agree with 40 and then take 2 off.
Oh,
man. Don't do that in the dating world. Oh, you're 18, 16? Dangerous.
Also, why am I at that?
Why are you talking to anyone who's 18?
Yeah.
You should not be. I agree.
Yeah. Where am I hanging out? McDonald's Playland?
Those guys just copied Burger King anyway. The only good thing about this movie are the on-screen kills and the score, which there's barely any score, and the kills are the point. So the only thing good about this movie is something that's almost non-existent and the point of seeing it. All right. I feel like it deserves more than a star for that.
Golf clap.
Yeah.
Golf clap. It's that, like, he almost got it.
Right.
He was almost there.
I know. It's so weird. It's like, the only thing good about Star Wars is the space battles. And the aliens.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
And the wizards with light swords.
And the wizards with light swords. The only thing good about Harry Potter series is all the magic.
And Alan Rickman.
Oh.
I do give it a star due to its impact on the horror genre, but this film honestly wasn't that great. There was maybe one kill that was half decent, and its low budget kept the movie from reaching greater heights. Overall, this Halloween ripoff wasn't a good film.
And people love the whole Halloween ripoff thing.
I know. Well, it's just like, I don't like it, so I'm just going to verbal diarrhea the thing that I Googled real quick.
Yeah. Also, I mean, just the idea of anything that involves a guy walking around killing people is a Halloween ripoff.
Right.
Done.
John Wick.
Halloween ripoff. Man, did they rip off Halloween in that one. Keanu Reeves, more like Keanu Michael Myers Reeves. Am I right, guys? Yeah.
Yeah. That was dumb.
It was. That's why I said it like a drunk man. They kill a poor defenseless snack. 0 out of 10. Fuck this movie. That's really funny. Also, your name is Dick twice. Dick D. But yeah, so you haven't seen it in a while. So there's a snake in the cabin, and everyone's like, "What do we do?" And they're like messing up the cabin, trying to figure out what to do. And finally, someone hits it twice with a machete and kills it. For that to be, man, you can't watch a lot of stuff, right? If you don't want an animal dying, you can't watch so many. You can't watch Lion King.
Man, Land Before Time is just like a depression gully for you,
man. I feel like if you watch Snakes on a Plane, you're gonna start a band.
We call it 21 Pilots. Is it is it a classic? I guess so. But good God, it was not scary, just frustrating and dumb. Because I don't know how to remember that things were old.
Also, what's frustrating about it?
I don't know.
I can understand saying it's dumb. It's people being dumb in a dumb situation. But also, an excuse can be made that, like,
I feel like a lot of
they're
these
being
comments,
a little frantic. You know?
I feel like a lot of these comments are also like holding them up to comparison to stuff that can be accomplished today.
Right.
You know,
sure. But what I don't understand what would be frustrating. The frustration in a lot of horror movies is what people do in those situations, which does make a lot of sense in this movie and in movies in general.
Which is generally a thing that I don't like about a lot of these types of movies. Like that's a thing that like I chalk up and like I'm disinterested in personally, but I know why they're doing it. Ergo, I don't shit on it.
My thing is, one of the excuses for that happening is you don't know what you would do in a situation like that.
Right.
Generally, right? So you don't know what would happen if a killer was coming after you and you ran into a room and you're not thinking straight and you're trying to barricade a door, which is one of the scenes in this movie. Right. She barricades the door in an okay way, but like she grabs a small chest to put in front of the thing when she could have moved a desk. To put in front of the door. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, why didn't she just do this? Or why didn't she just do that? And you're like, well, there's someone chasing her with a freaking axe or whatever they had. You know what I mean? So you don't know what you would do in that situation. So I can easily go, okay, I'll chalk it up to that. People aren't thinking straight.
Right.
Also, whenever anyone does anything after having sex, that's weird. I mean, you don't think very straight after you have sex. So... And finally, people kept talking during the whole movie. I'm very annoyed. Where were you? This was in 2019. I assume you were either with friends who had already seen it in a theater where they were replaying it, or the voices in your head ruined this movie.
It's also funny to give a review 1 star because people were talking.
Yeah.
Like, I'm rating this movie that I hate the movie because of things that weren't in the movie's control.
Yeah, she's like, well, Rotten Tomatoes didn't provide a platform where I can review my friends, so I'm doing it here. 1 star to my friends. Shut up and let me watch the movie. Yeah. That being said, that's going to do it for us. We hope you guys had a good time watching or listening, depending on where you are. If you're on YouTube, of course, you're at Boss Level 8. If you're listening to the podcast, of course, it's called Critique the Critics. Feel free on whatever platform you may be on to subscribe, follow, or do whatever it says that you're supposed to do to make it so you can keep up with what we're doing. We have a podcast and a video twice a week, every Monday and Saturday. And we hope to see you every single time. And until we see you next time, geek out and game on.
Bye.